Good evening, everybody. Big Man on Campus here, back with you live, breaking down college basketball for Monday, November 14th, 2017. As many know, many of you followed me. I had a podcast for many years, and I'm thinking about getting it back going here. I mean, we've kind of done this over the last couple of days with college basketball. Many people have questions on it, and want their opinions answered. So I felt like this is a good time. Come on for half an hour or so, and you just chat about some of the games that I kind of have my eye on here tonight, and the picks that I've made so far. So, I'd recommend you subscribe to the channel. I'll be on every day at 5 o'clock. Feel free to come in and chat with me and talk college basketball. Like the show, comment, tell your friends about it. Do all that stuff. I mean, you can see me every day at SBR, but we run out of time. We don't always get a chance to go over everything. So, this is a good little spot to get it going every day at 5 o'clock and talk a little college basketball. What's up to everyone out there listening in? I appreciate you. I hope you enjoy my show. And if, like I said, you have people that enjoy college, feel free to let them come in and join, and let them know about the show. I had a good day yesterday. I went 5-0 on my plays, of which I gave on Twitter. Hopefully, many of you found them and were able to bet them. Like I said on yesterday's show, it's important that when you're betting college basketball, especially initially, you have books that can take the bets. One of those is Five Dimes. They are integral to have if you're a sports bettor and you're betting basketball. They have all the extra and added games. They have not only the ones that are lined, but they have the extra games, and they put them up early. They get them out right away. They're not scared to give those lines for those games. The lines move, but if you're here, if you're someone that sits here waits for lines, like I do, you can really get out ahead of some of these. I mean, over the weekend, I mean, I got lines that no one got. I mean, I have a line today on Oakland at 9.5. It's up to 16. So, I mean, by betting this stuff big, and early, you can get great lines. So I imagine, if you want to be someone that bets on college basketball and does pretty well with it, you got to be able to find those kind of lines. So I urge you, going over to sportsbookreview.com, take a look at what Five Duns has to offer through the book, through this SBR there, and sign up. I mean, it's definitely not something I would use for every bet I make, but for college basketball, it's pretty important. Let's get into today's card. And guys, again, I'm going to go over a lot of the games, so there's not really, you don't really have to ask. If I do miss one and you have an opinion, and want to hear about my opinion, feel free to let me know. But realistically, really quick back to yesterday. I mean, we went 5-0 on the picks that I gave out, but I mean, a lot of the leans came in also. I mean, a lot of the late ones. I mean, Arkansas got the job done. Um, Baltimore County covered. Indiana didn't. That's one I recommended. What else did I recommend here? I mentioned Wisconsin, which I ended up giving out. That came in. We kind of started out late, so we weren't able to get to all of them. But I bet live Eastern Washington. I bet the second half that one pushed. But there were a couple good ones that came in. So I urge you. Vermont was beautiful. I know we were kind of stressing about that one, initially. But let's get into today's action. And again, I'm not going to comment on the book themselves. I don't. I don't rate books. Go over to SBR; they'll give all the information as far as what those books do and how they pay out and stuff. I'm not going down that road. I don't know what the payouts are on. I've had that book for a while, and the way I used to get paid out worked. So since I've joined, I haven't taken a payout yet. Let's get into the card tonight. First game I'm going to take a look at, up at the top, game number. What's the first game here? Minnesota and Providence. I kind of like Minnesota in this spot, and if I could get 3.5 or 4, I'd be much more inclined. But to me, this is a game I think Minnesota is going to go in and win. I think they're the better team than Providence. I'm high on Providence in the Big East. I think they're a pretty good basketball team. I'm a big Ed Cooley fan, but I think not having Emmett Holt in this game is really going to hurt Providence. What I like about Minnesota is, their guard play is awesome. I mean, Mason, Amir Coffey, they're really good guards. And I think they'll be able to handle Cartwright and Rodney Bullock. I think they'll be able to keep them at bay, if not be better than them. I look at the Minnesota bigs, the front court. I think that's the advantage in this game. Emmett Holt's a guy down low that I think they really could use here. He's not playing tonight. And when you have Reggie Lynch and Jordan Murphy, I mean, they're a tough player. Reggie Lynch is one of the best defensive players in the country. So I don't know. I just think Minnesota's a better team overall. I think to get them as an underdog, Pitino used to go to Providence, so that adds in a little interesting, kind of little caveat here. But I like Minnesota in this spot. I would lean that way. It's not an official pick for me, but I definitely like Minnesota here. And if you want to count the leans against me, I don't really care. This is definitely one. Like I said, if I get 3.5 or 4, I'd be much more interested here. I'm a big UK fan. Do you see them competing at all with Kansas tomorrow without Vanderbilt or Baker? Don't know much about Kansas. No, I don't. I mean, they'll compete. I mean, they're Kentucky, but Kentucky's not looked particularly good in the first 2 games. Struggle with Utah Valley. Obviously yesterday. Listen, I mean, they could have really all in all lost that game. I think if you play that game later in the year, Vermont would beat Kentucky. But or you can make the case, well, Kentucky might be a little stronger later in the year. But Kentucky didn't play well cohesively. They're just not there right now. I think it's going to take some time. And Kansas, to me, is there. So, I think they're going to have some trouble. Corey Strauss, welcome in. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for listening. All you guys out there, thank you for checking me out. I do appreciate it. Let's keep it moving here. See, I'd lean Minnesota. LaSalle, Penn. Donnie Wrightside and I talked about this game a little bit earlier. It's an interesting game. It's a City 5 matchup. For those of you who are not familiar with the city of Philadelphia, these schools are separated by very, very, very short distances. I mean, Penn's over, just past Center City in West Philly, and LaSalle's up on North Broad Street. It's really just a small bus ride to Penn in this game. So this is going to be an interesting game. A fun game at the Palestra, and LaSalle's taking a ton of money in this game. Public's all over LaSalle. Penn open 2.5. It's all the way up to 2. Earlier in the day, at like a pick 'em, I was liking LaSalle, but the big question is, are we overreacting with game 1? Because Penn lost to Fairfield. They didn't play well. LaSalle beat St. Peter's and held them to 40 points game. They're not going to hold Penn to 40 points. I think this is going to be a much more competitive game. At this hour, at this number, I would rather have the points in this game. I want the better defensive team. I want the team that's, to me, a slightly overall better team. I'm pretty high on Penn overall. I think they're well coached under Brian Gregory. I think they're a pretty good basketball team, to be honest. And Brodeur won't be as poor as he was against Fairfield. It's at home. This is going to be a close game. There's not a ton of betting value here. If I had to lean at this point, I would take a shot with Penn. And again, at a pick 'em, okay, maybe I like LaSalle, but once you really look into it, I think this is really a question of who's going to come to play and what game 1 was indicative of what the team is. It's just a hard bet at this point because LaSalle's I like Pookie Powell. I'm a fan of his, and if you've noticed in this breakdown, I've really given you a reason to back both teams. You get Penn at home, getting points. I think they bounce back. I think they're better, but UPenn basketball is not exactly the team you want to basically depend on. As far as the next one, Central Michigan, no opinion for me. The Chippewas are coming into the season really going to struggle, I think. I mean, you lose Keene and Braylon Rayson. I mean, that's literally most of your scoring gone. And I'm pretty high on Michigan, but when you have these in-state matchups, there's always an added bonus for the underdog team. So for me, it's going to be a pass. Western Michigan, South Carolina. This is a fun game. I think people that maybe are just kind of new to basketball, they might not totally know about Western Michigan just yet, but I think you're going to find out a lot about Western Michigan pretty early. I'm a big fan of this team. I like them out of the MAC, and what Steve Hawkins has done there is pretty impressive. I mean, they had real problems last year to start the season. They had a bear of an out-of-conference schedule. They had a murder investigation involving one of their players who's since been charged with murder. It was just a mess, and Steve Hawkins was able to kind of bring them out of that, and they finished the season pretty well. I love Thomas Wilder. I think he's a must-see player. This is a lot of points, especially for a South Carolina team that I'm not particularly high on. I'm kind of low on this group. I think Western Michigan's a live dog in this game, but this is a pretty good line by the books because I could see South Carolina kind of up 8, to 10 the whole game, and they pull away late with just kind of more athleticism, but for Western Michigan, I think they need one of these games. They need to have one of these go their way. This could be it. It's a SEC opponent, and a team that's lost a lot as an SEC opponent. Plus, they have just a young team. I kind of like Western Michigan. I could see Wilder dropping 30 in this game, and they hang in the number. I got a friend that only bets college basketball. He said to hammer LaSalle. I don't see any particular advantage in that game. Not really sure why you would pound that game. Thank you, D-Rock. Appreciate it. Big man, are you doing a break that every day? Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know about Fridays, but I mean, I might just not do Friday. But yeah, I mean, when there's a lot of college basketball, I'll take the time out to do it. Sure. Yeah, go on. I'll get to it. I'm just going down the card here. Old Dominion, James Madison, pass. Charlotte, Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State wasn't too bothered in their first game against Pepperdine, a game that I did lose over the weekend. I thought Pepperdine was kind of a live dog just because, Oklahoma State's really been in the forefront of major investigations with this federal probe going on. Jeffrey Carroll's suspended for the foreseeable future. And then a team that lost a ton last year, you lose Carroll and you think, all right, well, there goes the season. And for a team that I picked to finish last in this conference anyway, I don't know that I really saw them beating Pepperdine by that amount, but it was an impressive win. It's not going to be as easy tonight against Charlotte. The 49ers are a team that you have to remember. They come out of the Conference USA. They love to run tempo. They love to run fast. And John Davis is an NBA caliber player to me. He's a guy that no one really gives a ton of respect to down in Conference USA, but he's a real good player, and he's a kid that can keep your team in the game. And Charlotte's a team that is going to bother you. They like to run and play fast, and he may keep them in a game like this. If he can drop 25, they're going to hang in this game. I wonder at what point will the Cowboys be affected by this limited talent. Let's move on. If you made me, I would take the 14.5. North Texas, Nebraska. North Texas is a bad team. They're poor, but I don't like Nebraska either, so I'm going to skip that one. St. Joe's, Illinois, Chicago. I actually grabbed Illinois, Chicago, which I mentioned on today's show. I grabbed that at 1.5. That's part of my 4-play little group here. That's a play for me tonight. And it's nothing against St. Joe's. I mean, if you know me, I'm pretty high on St. Joe's overall. I just think out of the gate here, it's going to be a little tough. I mean, they had a tough year last year. It seemed like everyone got injured, and it started kind of the same this year. I mean, Lamar Kimball's not even with them right now. He re-injured his leg last game against Toledo, and they were really beaten up by Toledo. Toledo just played really tough. They played harder. St. Joe's couldn't hit a shot, and Julian Sanford was huge for Toledo the other night. I mean, he crushed St. Joe's. And look, I don't think it's going to get any easier tonight against Tarkus Ferguson. This Illinois Chicago team has got something to prove this year. I mean, they get Dikembe Dixon back, one of their better players who was out most of the year last year. You got Odiasi down low. You got Ferguson. I'm just early on with St. Joe's going to take a little time. I mean, you lose Kimball. I mean, he's one of your main players. He played the second most minutes the other night. They haven't gotten a ton out of Olivo or Longpre. They didn't get a ton out of him in the first game. I don't know that Taylor Funk's going to be able to drop 16 like he did in the first game and hit 4 threes. This is a tough game. I like Illinois Chicago. I think they're a team that's going to be kind of a bet-on team this year. They were a bet-on team for me last year. I don't see a reason they don't continue that. Any thoughts? Yeah, again, I will get to it. Guys, please don't ask questions like this. I'll get to all the games, I promise. I need to do this all in an amount of time, and I can't really stop to answer. I'll do them all. Especially on a Monday, guys. I mean, there's not a ton of games, so I mean, I'll give something on it if I have an opinion. So for me, the first official pick that I'm gonna send out and play is I took Illinois Chicago, but I got it at 1.5. Which, if you watch it, and if you're at this point where you have two, I would probably play the money line. At 127, it's not particularly high. You don't want to worry about hijinks late in this game, but Illinois Chicago should be able to control it. I would lay the points with them here. Iowa State, UW, Milwaukee. What a weird game, because if you saw Iowa State in the first game, we saw they have limited talent on this team. Missouri controlled them without Michael Porter. And they still beat them by double digits. Iowa State's pretty poor. I don't see a reason to lay this many points with them. I know it's at home, and I know that's a tough place to play. And they are playing Milwaukee, who, isn't good. They have a new coach, but they do have a kid in Brock Stahl that you like. I'll be real though. I'm not laying 13.5 points with Iowa State, and the books. The people agree. They were 15.5, 14.5. It's down at 13.5. I'm not really sure I would lay points right now with Iowa State. College of Charleston, Wichita State. This is what a great mid-major game this is. If you learned anything, when Wichita was in the Missouri Valley, the common running joke was you don't lay points. You don't take points at them with their opponent against them at home. They just blow you out. They go on these runs where they just crush you. But, I think Charleston, if you're going to get Wichita, you want to get them early in the season. No McDuffie in there. It does hurt them. How healthy is Shamet? And listen, this Charleston team is really good. They're a really good defensive team. They're going to be one of the better defense teams in the country overall. They have a scorer in Cheatley. They have Nick Harris, Grant Riller. They have plenty of really good players on this team. The problem is they're not particularly big, and that's kind of concerning when you're facing Wichita. But I'm confident that Charleston could stay within this number. This is a lot of points. If McDuffie was in the game, I would be more inclined to lay the points. But without Marcus McDuffie, I'm not as interested. I'm sorry. I think Charleston can hang in this game. I think they're going to slow the game down, keep the possessions low, and try to grind out a game in the low 60s, that kind of area. I just think this is too many points. 16.5, 17, you're giving that to Charleston. To me, Charleston's one of the better mid-majors overall. I think they're a team that's going to run away in the Colonial Conference. Gun to my head, I would take Charleston. If you can get 17, that's key. I can see an 81-61 game, but I just don't think it's too feasible. Charleston plays too good a defense to lose by 20 here. I just don't see it. And if Wichita could beat them by 20, that is impressive. And my antenna will be up early. But Charleston's too well a coached team. They have too many good players and too good of a defense to get blown out in this game. So for me, I would lean with the Cougars here. No problem, Mark. Thanks for listening, man. It's like the Spreaker days. Yes, that's correct. It's like the Spreaker days. For anyone who doesn't know, I used to have a show on Spreaker. I would do it every day at 5 o'clock. I'd usually do it with my friend Ryan, who used to live with me, but he's busy now, so he can't do the show anymore. But we are going to get a guest Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, which will be interesting and fun. So we'll debut that tomorrow. But I'm going to lean with Charleston in this game. I think they're a good basketball team. Listen, at 9, okay, maybe, but you're giving them 17 points. That's a lot of points in a basketball game. And Charleston will be up for this game. This is a huge game, huge mid-major game for them. You're going to find out a lot about these two teams, and that's what's great about early college basketball. You could find out kind of right away, hey, was the barometer too high on a team like Charleston? And look, you look at what, Wichita did in their first game. They beat the Kangaroos of Missouri, Kansas City. Big deal. Who cares? So the concern only in this one is the rebounding problem. Can Charleston rebound the ball enough? But the thing, like I'm seeing certain websites, like they're saying they would pick Charleston, to lose by 30 in this game. Do these fucking people watch college basketball? These people are dumb fucks. Complete idiots. This is not a 30-point game. That's embarrassing. If you put out I see people saying 30-point win. Get the hell out of here. Charleston's going to be ranked this year at some point. Stop. Don't share your stupidity. Um, yeah, listen, Manny, you do not tease in college basketball. No, Manny, please don't do that. No, 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 no. If you respect me, Manny Young, and I'm guessing you do because you're watching me, please don't tease. That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. So explain this to me. Okay, the line's 16 and a half. You're going to tease them to 20 and a half. So what do you think? You just think Wichita's going to win by 20 or less? It's literally a 4-point end. 4 points is nothing in basketball. You could score that in one possession. Please, no, don't do that. Don't do teasers. Don't any of that crap. No, 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 no. Please don't do that. Northridge, Fresno. No opinion. I'm pretty high on Northridge, though. They're a team that can really score. Problem is they can't defend. I could see a lot of points in that game, frankly. And actually, I'm going to consider a total in that game. When you're getting Northridge in the 140s, I think it's important that you almost look to bet them. I mean, this Fresno team is pretty decent. They're a team with plenty of scorers. Might be too low of a total here, frankly. And Northridge is one of those teams that their total should be in the 160s. That's kind of the way they play. And look, with the cog that Fresno State has, I mean, they have a good backcourt. I mean, they have good guard play. They bring in Ray Bowles from Pacific, a kid that just adds to that backcourt. Jamel Taylor, Jaron Hopkins. I'm actually kind of intrigued by this total in this game. I'm going to look at pace in this one. Northridge can't defend anybody. I mean, they're awful on defense. It's not a bad play. That actually might be one I'm going to circle here. It's definitely intriguing. Yeah, Justin, you can listen back if you need to, man. It's not I'm pretty sure you can at least. But I'm intrigued by this total. Fresno over 147. Wyoming, Oregon State, interesting game here. Wyoming, I'm pretty high on. Justin James. Though I'm more inclined to back Wyoming at home. I'm actually really high on Oregon State as well. So these are kind of two teams I like. Public likes Oregon State here. The question is Oregon State turned a corner? Because last year they were the same team. They got Trace Tinkle back. I think this game's close, to be brutally honest with you. I would lean with the points here. If you really wanted to get technical, I could see Wyoming winning this. This might be a live money line play, Wyoming. Wyoming's a talented basketball team, really talented. They're a team that, Justin James and, with the post game run they went on last year, I mean, that's impressive. They have 4 starters back. They've played teams like Oregon State all the time in the Mountain West. So this is a pretty live dog possibly here. But I'd imagine Oregon State in Corvallis, after a tough year, they want to come out and play well against a good opponent. But I kind of like Wyoming. Rhode Island, Nevada, it's going to be a hell of a game to watch. But and I will be watching at 11:30 on ESPNU. This is a college basketball fan's dream. An East Coast team going out to the West Coast. Nevada's picked to win the Mountain West. Rhode Island's picked to win the Atlantic 10. Rhode Island kind of off that Magicals run last year. It's just not enough points for me. I could see this game going either way. This will be a game I'll watch as opposed to betting. Pine Bluff, North Dakota, really intriguing from one point. And I know people will say to me, like, what the hell is intriguing about Pine Bluff? The intriguing thing about Arkansas Pine Bluff is at midnight Saturday, so basically Friday going into Saturday, since then, this will be Pine Bluff's 3rd game. They're playing in like a little mini tournament. This could be a real good second half play. If this game's close in the first half, bet North Dakota in the second half. Troy last night was in the same situation. They crushed Pine Bluff in the second half. North Dakota might be in another good spot to do it here. Pine Bluff's just not as talented as the other teams in this conference. And Pine Bluff's in a terrible scheduling spot. Troy, Hawaii, no opinion. Montana, Pittsburgh. I've actually recommended. And at this point, I'm going to stay off of it just because the numbers moved. It was close for me, but I'm going to stay off it. Montana is really intriguing in this game. Montana is the better team to me, but it's in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's off an embarrassing loss. This is where we're really going to learn how bad Pittsburgh is. You can chalk up game 1 and just being, was the first game. And you're on the road, but there's really no excuse in this game. You have a team in Montana coming in here that's good, but with being Pittsburgh, you need to beat a Big Sky team at home. It's not difficult. This is where I'm going to find out if Montana can beat a good opponent or a team that's supposed to be better than them. Because let's be real, guys, Pittsburgh's not good, but their talent is probably better overall in the ACC and the guys they get than Montana. I love Ahmad Brewery. I'm a big Montana guy. They're probably going to win the Big Sky. But if I could get 3.5, I'd take Montana. But I could see Pittsburgh winning this one late on free throws or something like that. It's just not a line area that I want to get involved with. But you're going to learn a lot. If Pittsburgh loses this game, fade them all year. Vanderbilt, Belmont. I think you'll see points in this game. Both teams love to shoot the three. Riley LaChance, Austin Luke, Ega Casey, they all love to shoot the three. And this is the Battle of Tennessee. You got a kind of lower level Tennessee team against, an SEC team. And Vanderbilt's not strong this year, but Belmont is. I love Rick Byrd, always have. And they're going to be really up for this game. It is in Belmont. I'd lean Belmont. I don't like the personnel Vandy has. You lose Cornette, that hurts. I like Belmont. I think this could be a huge win for this team. The question is, where's their mindset? After going out to Washington, losing in heartbreaking fashion, now you got to come back right away and face another big team. Terrible spot for Belmont. For me, it's a pass. Virginia, Austin Peay. Austin Peay might not score 45 points in this game, but can Virginia beat a team by 30? Of course they can. I would never bet Austin Peay here. Brown, Quinnipiac. You always got to like Quinnipiac at home. I mean, they're a great rebounding team. They always have been, always will be. New coach, Baker Dunleavy. But can they defend enough? I don't like an Ivy League team, so I'll pass. A lean Slamar to Quinnipiac. This is actually one that I'm real close to pulling the trigger on. And actually, you know what? I'm going to pull the trigger on, and I'm going to officially give this one out as well. I'm going to go with Cincinnati here against Western Carolina. I'm going to lay the 28 here. West Carolina last year was among the worst teams offensively in the country. They were literally at the bottom overall. I think they scored like 50-some points a game. They're just a dreadful, dreadful team. And when you're facing Cincinnati, that's not good. And especially, I know people think, Cincinnati crushed Savannah State. Well, they gave them 77 points. The game was close for a decent amount of time. I'm going to go ahead and guess Mick Cronin lit into this team after the game. They didn't play as well as they should against a team that they should win by 50 against. Savannah played well in that game. They were in the game, basically for like a half of it. I think you see a much better spot here for Cincinnati. I think Cronin will leave his starters in pretty long in this game. And look, Cincinnati's one of the more talented teams in the country. It's just, they took that one and didn't take it seriously. It was clear. And they still won going away. I like this Bearcat team. I'm real high on them. I think they absolutely crush the Catamounts in this game. I think it's like 110-65 or something. I think they crush them in this game. I would lay the points with the Bearcats. Tulsa off of a loss to Lamar. They're hosting in-city rivals in Oral Roberts. These teams are real close to each other in Oklahoma. Do you really want to back Tulsa off a loss to Lamar? They have definitely a talent advantage here. The question is, can they stop Albert Owens down low for Oral? Oral Roberts has a kid, Albert Owens, that's a big bruising kid. They have a new coach in Paul Mills. And Oral Roberts has hung in these games. They hung for most of the game last year, beat him in 2015, but off a loss. I'd imagine Frank Heath has his team more prepared. But, hey, who knows with him? South Dakota, Bowling Green. I actually would go with South Dakota in this game. Matt Mooney is a great, great, great player. Bowling Green I'm pretty low on, but no huge opinion there. I mentioned I'm on Murray State, which I gave my reasoning for that. And, guys, I will recap what I'm on at the end of the show. I'm on Murray State in this game, plus 3.5. This is a huge game for the Racers. They've been so close to Middle Tennessee in the past. Beat them 2 years ago. We're in the game last year with a more talented Middle Tennessee team. Middle Tennessee, the lacking problem this year is the front court. Do they have a player that can play with Jonathan or with Terrell Miller? I don't think they do. I love what Murray State has with Stark and with Byron Hawkins coming over from Towson. I think this is the year that Murray gets the job done. Give me them. I think they win it outright, but I'll take the points here with the Racers. Already mentioned Northwestern. Don't need to mention them again. I already bet them, which I gave it out last night. So that's another one I'm on. Eastern Kentucky, Mississippi. I think you see a lot of points in this game. It's just a little too high for me. I don't like betting teams in the 160s, but you look at Ole Miss. I mean, so much scoring prowess. I mean, Mikal Crawford, Terrence Davis, DeAndre Burnett, so much talent on this Mississippi team. I think Nick Mayo eats down low for Eastern Kentucky. This should be a game played into the 80s. You know, I could see like an 88-78 type of game, 88-75. Should see a pretty high-scoring game here. Wouldn't be surprising to see Ole Miss hit the over as far as hit 90. I could see 90 surely from them. They put up 90-plus in their last game. You should see a game that gets into the 160s or higher here. And guys, again, we're getting closer to the end. So if you have a game you want me to talk about, I'm going to try to keep this show to like 40 minutes or less. So again, I won't get to hit everyone here, but if you have a game that we haven't talked about and you want to, you have a question or you just have a comment, you want to ask something about sports betting, feel free to ask. Southeast Missouri State, La Tech, no opinion. Chattanooga, UAB, no opinion. Rider Xavier, a lot of points, no opinion. TCU, Tennessee Tech. Look, I love TCU, but they didn't play well in their first game. I know Ian Cameron liked them in game one. Tennessee Tech, though, is kind of an average team. I mean, in the OVC, Alexa Jugovic is pretty good. He is a guard for them, good shooter. He could keep them into this game. I mean, I don't know. It's a lot of points. I'd imagine TCU would be more interested in this game. They're a little bit more focused. They weren't focused out of the gate, and that's something you want when you're getting a first. You get a team that plays bad in their first game. You usually expect them to bounce back in a second, and that's one of the reasons I like Cincinnati tonight. No, I don't play money line parlays really. Yeah, I do think they could win outright. I actually think they're going to. I think they're going to win a close game outright. Yeah. UC Davis, Northern Colorado. I'm high on Northern Colorado, not high on Davis. So, but I don't want to lay 6.5 points past. I love Tyler Hall at Montana State, but there have not been good things coming out of this team right now. Coach is not happy with the team. It's a road game. Pass. USC, North Dakota State. USC could really blow them out here. Can Northern Dakota State slow the game down? Kind of play it at their pace. Easier said than done. The rest of the card, I mean, I do have one more opinion. There are two games that are big numbers. Florida's an interesting game here. You look at Gardner Webb. Gardner Webb got absolutely crushed in their first game against the Miami Hurricanes yesterday. Now you got to come right back and play Florida today. A Florida team that hasn't played this year yet. I'm very high on Florida. The question is early on, are they going to be okay without not only John Agbunu, but Chris Chiozza is out as well right now. Kevon Allen can run the point, and it's not going to be a problem in this game, but as they kind of move into December, they're going to play better opponents. That's going to be concerning. But they still have Keystone and Kavarius Hayes and plenty of options. So they should really be in line to bury Gardner Webb here. This one should be a 30-plus point win. The other one that I'm looking at is one that I'm not as high on, and I just wanted to kind of mess with it, is Delaware State at DePaul. DePaul's a team this year that I think people should be a little bit more interested in than years past. It's not the same old DePaul team. They have a new stadium. They're probably the most talented they've been in some time. Eli Kane is a really, really good player. Darius McCollum. Trey Darius McCollum is really impressive as well. Brought in Marco Maric from Northern Illinois to kind of fill the middle. And they're off a tough game, against Notre Dame that they were right in the first half with. They played real well in that game, just kind of, they kind of lost their legs in the second half. But you look at this game, I mean, Delaware State's shit. I mean, they're out of the MEAC. Bad team. I actually picked them to finish second last in that conference this year. I think DePaul bounces back here at their new stadium and really feeds it to Delaware State here. That's kind of another one that I would look at. So all in all, my plays I'm going to go with tonight. I got Northwestern minus 18.5. I have Oakland, which is an added game at I got that at 9.5. I got that right as it came out, so the line's different now. I'm also on Murray State plus 3.5, and I'm on UIC minus 1.5. I also added in this show Cincinnati minus 28. So 5 plays for me today. I don't be surprised to see DePaul in Florida win big. Don't be surprised to see Eastern Kentucky go over. And then there was one other one that I was kind of intrigued by. I want to see out of Montana. I want to see what they do tonight. They're in a position here to maybe pull off an upset against an ACC team, even though it's Pittsburgh. Florida can make a deep run. Yeah, they can. It's will John Egbunu come back healthy, and when will that be? Is Shio's injury a long-term problem? That's the question. I'm not sure if you touch NBA, but when you're done, can you go over Timberwolves? I mean, as far as NBA, I really only bet line movements. So let me take a look here. Timberwolves. Yeah, it's a no play for me, man. I don't really look at who's playing. I just look at line moves. If you have all the money on one side and the line's going down, then I'd bet it or something. Like, for instance, the Lakers are getting 90% of the money, 75% of the side. I mean, the whole world's on the Lakers, but the line hasn't moved, and it's actually went down at certain books. So for me, like, I would be on the Suns tonight, and I would be on the Denver Nuggets tonight. Those would be the 2 games I'd be on, Nuggets and the Suns. And there are probably 2 games that I'll be betting. Yeah, Nuggets, Suns. Those are 2 games I'd be looking at. Nuggets, Suns. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. I didn't have an opinion on TCU. I'm not really high on it. I don't really, that could be a game where they should come out and really get the job done. I mean, they're off of a pretty poor performance in game 1, but, it's not one of my favorites here. Look, where is that game? Tennessee Tech's not terrible. They should cover, but, I mean, how good are they? Nothing on Missouri Wagner. Nothing on that. Until I know what's Michael Porter's status. I mean, at some point, that's going to come back and hurt them. Is this team good enough to lay 20 points to a team? They should be able to kill Wagner, but I can't bet every game, right? So for me, that's going to be it tonight. Again, I'm on the Northwestern Wildcats minus 18.5. I'm on Oakland minus 9.5 against New Orleans. I'm on Cincinnati minus 28. I'm on Illinois Chicago minus 1.5. And I'm on Murray State plus 3.5. Big man, do you bet first halves in college? Once in a while. Mostly just straight bets on the side. Not much other than that. Feel free, guys. Please like the show. Tell your friends. Comment. I do answer comments after the fact, so if you have a question, feel free to contact me or leave it on the show here. Thank you all for listening. I'll be back tomorrow. Ian Cameron will join me Tuesday evening at 5 o'clock. We'll go over the Tuesday college basketball card. Other than that, 5 plays tonight. Everyone have a great night. It's on 5 dimes, John. I've said that several different times. And guys, no offense. Before I go, no offense, guys, but you might as well just forget about Oakland. If you didn't bet it already, then it's at 16 now. It's moved. That was a bad line they put out. 8.5, 9.5, 9.5 they put out. I hit that right away. I didn't even think about it. 5 dimes right away. It's at 16 now. They'll still cover 16, I would think. But, it's went up 7 points. So, other than that, have a great night. I'll be back tomorrow on SBR at 12:30, and then back here at 5. So feel free to join me. hit the subscribe button to make sure every day at 5 o'clock you're here. We wish you a great night and have a successful one. Bye-bye.